All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Reading 365. I am Will Amy. I am going to be your host for today. Good morning, all. Today is kind of not unique in that we have two readers, which is awesome, but we get a two for one because we get a father-son duo, which is kind of neat as well. So as you all know, we're here every day at 11 a.m. offering just some really great reading selections by some wonderful volunteers that work with ALC. Today's no different in that way. We have Bruce Lynch with us today. Good morning. How are
Morning.
you?
Good, thanks. Very happy to be here.
I'm so glad you could join us. Bruce is actually no novice to this reading thing. He has volunteered with the ALC before in our 500 Men Read effort. You're from the Mount Joy area, so not too far from Harrisburg here. We're glad to see that our reach is, stretching further and further out. He's also a psychologist at Etown College, which we were just talking about how interesting and fascinating that is. And then joining us in addition to Bruce is going to be his son, James. James is a senior at Donegal High School. And I'm sure an interesting senior year is going on right now with everything that's happening. So I'm just really glad that you guys are able to join us today, that you're going to share with us some wonderful books. And we appreciate you so much. I know that it's Sunday, the weather's great, so it's great that you took the time out to do this. And so without further ado, I will let Bruce intro the book he has chosen to share with us today. All you, Bruce.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, very glad to be here. Appreciate your organizing this really important ongoing reading event. Yeah, so the book that I picked is Dewey, There's a Cat in the Library by Vicki Myron and Brett Witter and illustrated by Steve James. We have 3 cats in our family, and that was part of why I went into picking this book. Every night, people left books in the return box of the library in the small town of Spencer, Iowa. Funny books, big books, truck books, pig books. They left them all. But one night, on the coldest night of the year, someone left a strange surprise. A tiny kitten. When Vicki the librarian found him the next morning, the kitten was cold and scared and very, very dirty. Vicki took one look and decided to give him a warm bath. The kitten went into the sink brown and crying, but he came out orange and purring. I'm going to keep you, said Vicki, who already loved him. We'll name you Dewey Read More Books. You can live here and be our library cat. But Dewey had no idea what it meant to be a library cat. So he did what kittens do. He played, he lounged on the newspaper, rode the book cart, and knocked pens to the floor. He goofed around with Marty Mouse, snooped in every open drawer, and always found at least one rubber band. But what Dewey loved most of all was people. Tall ones, round ones, quiet ones, loud ones. The little ones, however, surprised him, and not always in a good way. Look, Nathan, said his mommy, there's a cat in the library. Nathan bent down and said, hi, Huey, Dewey, Ukes. No, said his sister Hannah, it's Dewey, read more books. Dewey squirmed. The boy was petting him in the wrong direction. Dewey loved to be petted, but he hated being petted in the wrong direction. Dewey was licking his fur back into place when he heard a strange noise. Wah! Dewey's ears perked up. He looked around. Wah! Wah! Dewey sprang to attention and crept really slowly toward the sound. Surprise! The little people, Dewey discovered, came in tiny sizes too. And they loved to giggle and grab and pull and coo. Babies are wonderful, Dewey thought. Cute and smell-licious too. A few days later, Dewey went exploring and discovered in a secret room the most exciting thing he had ever seen, children's story hour. Wowsy whiskers, this looks fun, Dewey thought, as he pushed into the room with his nose. Someone shouted, "There's a cat in the library!" Dewey froze. It was quiet for 1 minute. Then everything went wild. The next thing Dewey knew, he was being carried upside down. Oh my, Dewey thought, what should I do now? Late that night, Dewey talked to his friend Marty Mouse. "The library's a wonderful place," Dewey said, "but I'm tired of being pulled and poked and carried upside down. I'm just not a cat in a library. I'm a library cat. A library cat helps people, I think, and I'm 92% convinced that that's the reason I'm around." Marty Mouse didn't say anything. "I'm going to do it," Dewey said. "I'm going to help people." And he felt so happy that he threw Marty Mouse into the air, kicked him with his back legs, and then slept on him like a pillow. The next morning, when the first people arrived, Dewey was waiting to greet them right by the front door. All morning, Dewey acted like a library cat. He read with the mommies and grandmas, he helped the daddies work, and he even shelved books with the library clerk. When he saw little Nathan, he turned a circle and a half so the boy could pet his back from his head down to his tail. The right direction to pet a cat. "I'm glad we're friends, Dewey," said, Nathan said. Dewey smiled at that. By lunchtime, Dewey was worn out, so he found a good box. First, he put his front paws inside, then his belly. He squished his back end down, wiggled around until he was all the way in and closed his eyes. "There's an orange muffin in the library," a girl giggled. But just as Dewey was about to drift off into sweet kitten dreams, he heard a heavy sigh. His eyes popped open and he saw a girl on the other side of the library. A sad little girl, reading very quietly, all by herself. He climbed up close and stared at her. She looked the other way. He sniffed her hand. She wouldn't play. He knocked her mittens to the floor. She let them stay. Then he saw her jacket and had his best idea yet. "Silly always works. I'll be a silly cat today." The girl stared at Dewey. "You look like a fuzzy hot dog in a purple bun," she said. And then she surprised him. She laughed right out loud. "I love you, Dewey. Read more books," the girl whispered as Dewey nestled into her lap and began to purr. This is it, Dewey thought. I'm a real library cat, and it feels great. No, it felt better than great. It felt perfect. The end.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that great selection. The question I have is, are tornado, storm, and rain, which are your three cats, are they library cat material or not so much?
Yeah, James said no. I mean, they're very friendly with us, but they do they would get into a lot of mischief in a library. I think they do like
Gosh.
to run around and poke into things and
Well, I love the name.
closest.
And I thought that Dewey was, he was doing his job. He was doing the best that he could. So,
Yeah,
I could see how it might get a little hairy. But thank you again for that selection. I think that was a wonderful book. I hope everyone enjoyed it. As you said, I'm sure, cats have a special place in your heart. So it was kind of neat to see that play out there in that lovely book. So thank
thank
you
you.
again. And I'm kind of a Zoom manager, but I also feel like I'm a magician because I'm gonna make you disappear and I'm gonna make James appear. So
Okay,
alakazam, you guys
thank
can
you.
switch out. And James is gonna join us front and center in the hot seat.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome. So like I said, I know that you're a senior and this is an interesting year. So I appreciate you taking the moment to still share your love of reading, which I think is pretty awesome. And I will let you intro the book that you're going to read because I think it's going to be a good one and I think it's going to have a lot of folks who enjoy it. So all you, James.
All right, so I'm reading The Night Before Christmas. I felt like it was a good time to do this one as it's coming up to Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled, all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave luster of midday to objects below. When, what to my wondering I should appear, but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With the little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when met with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up on the housetop, the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and looked just like a peddler just opening his sack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink in his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, and to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere as he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." The end.
Yes, James, I like it. That's a fan favorite. I feel like it's perfect for this time of year. So I guess the question I have for you, I don't like to say naughty or nice list because I feel like everybody this year gets a pass. I'm going to write that to Santa. I think we should all get a nice list pass. But anything special for Christmas that you're doing or traditions that you guys have?
I'm just hoping for some of the new card games that I play.
Okay, okay. Not a bad request. I think this is a good card game era, right? Everybody's getting a chance to kind of be more with each other, around each other, and kind of enjoy all that. So I hope that you get that. I'll make sure to write on there. James was very excellent. He read with our lovely folks at Reading 365. So you'll get an endorsement from me for sure. So I just wanted to say thank you to both your dad and yourself again for joining us for Reading 365. Oh yeah, that's my magic trick. I had to make you reappear for joining us. We appreciate you guys taking the time, sharing your love of reading with everyone. Our reach is a little further than Mount Joy in Harrisburg because of our lovely Zoom platform. So it's great that you could do that with us. It's a beautiful Sunday out. I hope that you guys and everyone out there watching will join us every day, 11 o'clock. We're going to be doing this until September 30th, Reading 365, brought to you by the American Literacy Corps. I hope you enjoyed our reading selections for today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a blessed day. Like I said, the weather is nice out, so there's always more to do. So thank you again, everyone out there. We hope that you'll join us next time on Reading 365. Have a good one.